Now, let's get back to buying tax lien certificates over the counter. And what I have is I have a PowerPoint presentation. It's mostly text, so it's a little boring. I'm just going to warn you right now that goes over in more detail, more to the questions of, hey, show me where to go and what to do as far as actually physically buying a tax lien, getting in the game. So let's open this PowerPoint presentation here briefly, guys. Okay. And I'll give you just a little bit of background, and then we're going to go out to the actual county sites and go looking and see what we can find. So let's run this little short presentation. This will take about 10 minutes, and then we'll start digging again on the county sites. So over-the-counter liens, let's define what those are and what the process is. And I'm going to read to you a little bit, so bear with me here, guys, okay? To buy tax certificates over the counter, you'll be making purchases directly from the county rather than at auction. When the county has been unable to sell a certificate for whatever reason, it's held by the county, okay? And some counties call these county owned, by the way. When the county has been, let's see, okay, there are numerous reasons why the tax certificate did not sell at the auction, so it doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with the property, but you do need to conduct your due diligence. Now, as a cynic of real estate, I always think there's something wrong with the property. I am looking for every little thing that could be wrong with that property. So to me, in this business, it's guilty until proven innocent. Okay, guilty until proven innocent. So that's just a little disclaimer on that statement. There are numerous terms when describing county-held certificates, but the most common ones are county-held certificates, certificates struck off to county, or certificates available. Over-the-counter certificates is another one as well. That's kind of slang. Each county maintains a list, which is available for viewing at the tax collector's office. Physically, you can go there, and I've done this a handful of times, or some have it available online. Okay. When you buy certificates over the counter, it's important to note that you'll be also paying the accrued interest on the certificate. So when we buy these types of certificates, it's not necessarily an interest play. It's more going after the deed, but you still can be accruing interest, okay? When the certificate is redeemed, and the homeowner can still redeem these, okay? Or the tax deed sold to you, being reimbursed the accrued interest paid to the tax collector and paid the interest to you during the time you have held the certificate, just like a normal tax lien. Your principal plus any other fees and application costs if applicable. All county-held certificates carry an 18% maximum rate. So you don't have to bid it down. You're getting the 18% right from the get-go, which for most investors is a dream, getting that kind of return. Okay? So moving on. So the requirements of actually doing this, to buy certificates, the county require you to provide the following items. A W-9 form. That's just so they can inform the IRS of the transaction. That's standard. Tax account number of the property or legal description, which they will have the record of. Okay. Parcel ID. And remember, in certain states, that parcel ID can be called different things like an alt key, alternate key, certificate number, and the amount due, and your cost. So the cost would be the fees and so forth. Certificates held by the county are sold for the face value of the certificate plus any accrued interest. Since the certificates were not sold at tax certificate auction, the annual interest would be 18%. I kind of repeated myself. When the certificate is redeemed or sold, you receive all that good stuff. Okay. Now, if it's a certificate that's past the redemption period, you as an investor could buy the certificate one day, the next day start your tax deed application process if you so chose. Okay. Which is kind of fun when it works out. I pulled this next section right off of a county website. Okay, so you can see what they're trying to help you learn about the process. So this is just some frequently asked questions. What is a county certificate sale? How is it different from a traditional sale? Again, they're not sold, carry an 18% interest rate, first come, first serve basis. You can buy it right off the website real time using an electronic check. Some will have other online payment methods that you can use as well. Okay. What equipment or special software do you need? Nothing. You just need an internet that works, and that's it. How much does it cost to enter the sale? How do I pay for the certificate that's purchased? There's no fee to participate. In Arizona and some other states, when you want to participate, sometimes there are deposits that you need for the primary auctions. In this case, you're not even putting deposits down. And I'll show you here in a minute how easy it is. You can hit the buy now button just like eBay, okay, and provide your banking information. Most counties in certain jurisdictions will do that ACH transaction. Others you can pay with a credit card or a wire. Okay, we've done both. Most of the stuff we've done has been through, I would say this, if we're talking Florida, about 90% of the counties accept a wire and about 10% still do an ACH transaction, just FYI. How do I get started? You go through the about 5-minute registration process and you're ready to start bidding. Okay, so let's go out to some of the websites here. And what I did is I came in a little bit early, preloaded these, and I haven't even been through them. Okay, so let's look at Columbia. These are tax lien certificates that once you're registered, you could actually go and buy now all of these. And you can see the lower prices on the years. So immediately I know something like this is going to be just some little strip of worthless land. And so I'm kind of scouring. There's 41 pages. Okay, don't be intimidated by this, guys, because right now on this first page, I'll bet you money if I just go look on something like this, it's probably going to be a piece of land that I'm not interested in. Okay, and remember, I'm a big proponent of buying tax lien certificates on vacant, developed land. Okay, not raw land, but I'm talking more specifically building lots. It's a hot market right now in certain areas of the country, and you can get into liens for under $200-300 and get some really good returns. And we'll go into some case study here. But let's go look and see what this is. And there you go. I'll pull up the map. And this is an example of what not to buy, you guys. Okay, I believe it was either this lot or this lot. Who the heck knows? Now, unless you want to go build a cabin somewhere in the middle of Central Florida, and actually I know this area very well. This is in the Royal Highlands area, just above Tampa. And it's actually beautiful. It's gorgeous up there. But for this particular piece of land, I'm not interested. Okay, not interested. There's not an immediate cash flow. I wouldn't even build a cabin here, but that's just me. The general area is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so we're going to back that one off. Okay, make sure I'm keeping up. Oh, Troy, good question. Okay. Oh, I hope I answered the one. Could the owner of the 2015 file the TDA first? No, because in the state of Florida, it's a 2-year redemption period. In other states, though, you're right. It's a 1-year redemption period, say in Ohio or Kentucky. It varies. So that's why we put up this state guide on the website for you, so you can see the different variations of redemption years. Okay. In the state of Florida, it is 2 years, though. And as a 2015, I couldn't beat you to the punch and file a TDA first, if that answers your question. And you still could get your full year of interest. It's prorated by the month. So as far as how interest works, they accrue the interest in 1 month increments. So if you held the tax lien for 6 months, then you would make 6 months worth of interest until you got that check. It's not prorated by the day, even though some counties do that. In Florida, it's by the month. So if you sold your tax lien, say in the middle of May, you would get May's interest. Okay, all of May's interest is how they do it. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Troy. So we're just going to poke around here. Let's go to one of the higher price liens here and see what we got a hold of. Still not interested in that land. And guys, I will tell you this. I pulled this county up on purpose because it is in more of a central part of Florida, more rural. You do see homes here. This is actually a nice area, like I said, of Florida. But if I'm buying land, for example, this isn't the area that I'm doing it in. I'm going to do it in kind of the sexy parts of Florida. And if we're given the opportunity on some of our other searches, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So right now in this area, I kind of pulled this up as an example for Columbia County, which is in more central Florida, more rural, that we're probably going to find out fairly quickly it's not an area that we're going to do a ton of investing in. Now, hold the bus. We got something going on here with a house on it. Now, this is a mobile home. Okay. Right here, you guys. Let's see if I can zoom up on this. We have invested in tax liens in mobile homes in the state of Florida, but not this kind. I'm not making a political statement or demographic or social class statement here by any means, you guys. So don't take this wrong. But the only types of mobile homes I invest in are in the 55 and older Florida type communities, and those are worth something. You got a hold of something if you're getting a tax lien certificate or deed on a mobile home in a 55 and older community, usually out by the coastlines, not here in Central Florida. So in this particular one, I would pass. But if this were out on one of the coasts, primarily the southwest coast where we like, I would be very interested in a mobile home. But because it's a lot different than you think, they're very nice communities, actually. I'll show you. I just have to, guys, before you think I'm insane telling you to invest in mobile homes, I just have to show you here real quick. Okay, so I'm going to go to Cape Coral, Florida, and I'll show you an area we have invested heavily in, and it's up here. And if you look, here's where we're at in Florida, southwest quadrant, okay? And I love the Burnt Store area. Burnt Store is this region. It's got a very high-end marina. Okay, we have never purchased a tax lien certificate or a building lot in this community. It's all gated, very high-end. I would love to own a retirement property in here one day. Okay, and I do own personally land in this area, just so you know. But this is too high-end for our tastes, personally. As far as our investment strategy. But I'm just giving you a feel for this general area and the amenities, and we've been out on a boat here. One of our brokers took us out in his boat. It's just phenomenal here, guys. And sorry, I'm taking a 2-minute tangent. Let me give you an exact example of what I'm talking about. We've probably purchased tax lien certificates in this community right here. This is called Burnt Store Village. It's an association with annual association fees of about $180 to maintain the grounds and common spaces, which I don't mind paying as long as they're keeping everything looking really nice. I've driven every single street in this community because we do our research, but this is what I'm talking about right here. This is, and they're putting in new roadways, which was a hassle when we were there about 8 weeks ago because we drove that road many times. This is what I'm talking about. This you can make money on in Florida if you buy right, okay? This is a 55 and older mobile home park, okay? But look what it comes with. My heavens. Okay. You've got, what is the shuffleboard? Horseshoe pits, it looks like, which I love playing horseshoe. Yes, I'm a nerd. We've got tennis. This is a huge indoor facility. There's probably Tuesday night bingo nights in here as well, which we've actually done pretty well at bingo on the cruise lately. My wife loves to go on cruises. Boy, you're going to know everything about me, you guys. A good friend of mine, okay, our sales manager, recently purchased a lot on Sol Court. Let's see, where's Sol? Right here. He's thrilled. It's this huge pie-shaped lot that kind of juts out like that. And he's excited to build his retirement home. He's like me, kind of in his late 30s. And Lars is a phenomenal guy, but he owns that lot right there, for example. So these are the kind of things that I'm looking for if I'm looking at mobile homes and so forth. Okay, and we recently purchased this lot right here as well. It's just outside of this very high-end, expensive association, but we got it right here. We're thrilled about developing that lot. Okay, so we'll get back into it. Sorry, guys. Just had to take you there so you didn't think I was completely bonkers by recommending mobile homes. Let's take a look at this one. And then, we might have a little something here to go after. Let's take a look. It has improvements on it. House with some structure behind it. Okay. The zoom feature is not great on some county sites. This one's a little more responsive. Okay, but this has an actual stick-built or structured house. It is a little bit more rural. This is one that I personally would probably go through and do a little bit more research on, kind of through our process that we've done. Now I've popped open just a little bit different county view of this. This is called the Pictometry. This is a company that does advanced satellite imagery, and when the county's paid for Pictometry services, and you can see their little logo down here, that's really good for us as investors because we get that nice 3D kind of satellite view that we can scroll through. Okay, and then you can just get different satellite imagery, and I'm just scrolling through the 23 satellite passes here that they have to see if anything's changing much at the property. It looks all about the same. Okay, you can select your layers. That one didn't. So street, US parcels, so you can do your street overlays, which is handy. Some of the satellite imagery is good, some's okay. All right, and then I would go through, again, some of the same exact processes that we went and looked at the general information on this property. Now, this is rural, but guys, it looks like there's a mix of homes out here. The challenge, if you got a hold of some property like this, is selling it, okay? More than likely, the homeowners are going to redeem. They don't want to lose their property. That's what happens with about 95+% of liens, especially our redemption rates spike as soon as we file a bunch of TDAs. So I know in this example that we showed in the TDA process, you guys, of the 6 to 9 month period, but typically here's what happens in just average results. Not every time, but average results is that when Troy files his TDA, that sends out a whole bunch of notices to the property owner. The property owner freaks out and says, oh my gosh, honey, our house is going to go to auction in 4 months or 6 months. We have got to sell something or borrow some money to pay off Troy, or he's going to come take our house. So as soon as we file a big batch of TDAs, we see a spike in redemptions coming from the property owners, and we get a big chunk of cash in, and then we go turn that over into other tax lien purchases. Okay, that's kind of the norm in the business. So let's get out of Columbia. Okay, again, guys, we have all these links up on our site. You can easily Google them as well, but use our site as kind of a hub. We have links that come right into these active sales and lists and so forth. Okay, you just got to click on the state, and there's lots of reference material, and Google's awesome as well. Okay, so here's another one. This is Sarasota County, and let me show you where Sarasota is at in case you're wondering from our conversations yesterday. In Sarasota County, we've purchased probably about 2,000 building lots, more specifically in Northport and surrounding areas. I will tell you, Sarasota County encompasses this area just south of Tampa, and this is this area is one of the fastest growing areas for new homes being built. So it's always high on the statistical rating from Metro Study. And I'll show you actual stats here in just a little bit. In Northport is high on new builds and highest percentage of rental property growth. It's really kicking off. So the build to rent programs by investors where you build a property and then you rent it out on a long-term lease option to some clients. That's going crazy right now in areas in Florida with large funds coming in and doing that build to rent program. So that's why I love this area in general. I don't know if I love any of these tax liens, but let's take a look at a handful here. Let's just start popping them open, see what we get. Okay. So this is Sarasota County's appraiser site, which I've spent a lot of time in. This is a piece of vacant land, and you can get some ideas about assessed value here in the assessed value history. Okay. And then we can go look at the map. They've got a good mapping system. This is a great property. Okay. Oops, come on. That was the last property. Sorry, that was the last property that we purchased. Is the one that had already preloaded on Yuma Avenue there, and it's being subdivided. This is a Northport lot that's just a little over an acre and a half, and it's a builder's buying it and subdividing it into 4 parcels. So that was the first image that you saw when I said this is a great property. This one, if you want to buy an island, I suppose, but I don't see any road access out to it. It's not worth much except for this guy that lives right here for his kids to go out and play on the island, which they're probably already doing anyway. Okay, so we're going to pass on that one. All right, let's come back over here and let's choose some of the higher tax liens. Again, probably most of this is land at these prices. You're going to see a lot of that. There's 143 pages, so yes, it can feel a little bit daunting, you guys. All right, let's go take a look at this. Okay, vacant land. That is an easement strip. Nope, sorry. It's taking some time to update. I thought it was highlighting that. Nope, not interested in that. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Huh. Haven't been in that little town. Maybe I'm going to discover some new territory here. It's refreshing from the last image. Mobile home. Doesn't scare me. Nah. It's not the kind of area that I'd want to invest in. Okay. And guys, we could do this all day. That one's unavailable for our bigger dollar ones. It's, guys, buying over the counter. Again, it's like looking for diamonds. Let me give you an example. I'm curious to see what this $1.6 million lien is. Tamimi Trail is one of the main roads that goes through there. This has got to be commercial. I'm only guessing. And it's still refreshing from our last image. Big piece of land here. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty high risk, you guys, to want to go in and develop something like this. There are people that would jump all over that, but not me. It's in a very prestigious area, actually. These are high-end golf course communities here. And if this was buildable, this would be very interesting to possibly a developer with some big pockets to establish, these nice communities like this. But that's not something that I think is within a risk tolerance of most people investing in tax liens. But they're growing like crazy out there, guys. These are the new build growth that I was talking about. And just so you know, the county has recent imagery. They pay for the best stuff. So these are recent build outs and they're going like crazy. You can see some new builds going in right here as well. And a bunch right here, the tail of these little subdivisions. So it's going nuts up there. All right. So you're starting to get a feel, I think, of what it's like to go shopping for liens. Okay. Now, during the primary auctions, the format looks just like this, but here's the big difference. With the primary auctions, we'll provide you the whole list on a spreadsheet. So if you're looking at, as opposed to scrolling through 143 pages, for example, on the over-the-counter product, you'll have a single spreadsheet. You can sort it by assessed value and look at just, if you want to just look at anything that's just a house and that's above $100,000 in assessed value, you can just sort that list. You might get your sort down to 100 properties as opposed to what we're doing here today. So it is easier than this in many respects. Okay, so if you're cherry picking here, you're going to probably spend, I'm just being realistic with you, maybe a couple hours sorting through this list. You're going to get a feel for it real quick. And there'll be some stuff on this list. If I sat on this list long enough, we would find some good deals. And primarily, I would be focusing on, say, building lots here. Okay, we'll just open one more. And it's refreshing. If you have fast internet, that helps. This is a lot I would be very, very, very interested in. Okay, we're in what's called a semi-custom neighborhood. The reason that I know it's semi-custom is the roof lines and the size of the houses. We have purchased a lot of lots in neighborhoods just like this. Okay, this is in Northport. We've purchased off of Ponce de Leon, and Northport. And this is all horse estates up here. So we have driven this strip and gone back up in here. These are all high-end horse estates where they actually breed horses. And so when you're driving off of Tropicare, you see a lot of big gated openings into people's horse breeding estates because Florida has a lot of that. Okay. So there's a lot of big custom homes and estates up in here. And this is all semi-custom, middle income families up and coming, building very nice homes. Our model home is right down here, and we have a build to rent program, and our model is right in here. I believe it's this right in here, if I remember right. May not show in this imagery because we just built it, but we're doing the build to rent program as well. And so we have I'm just going to show you. This guy is awesome. Okay, you guys. This brochure he made himself, but on Saturdays we have an actual, in conjunction with our builder, we have Tyrus Hartley. And I love the guy. He is classic Florida. And he's been in the real estate industry for years and years and years. But Tyrus actually does an invite to local people, young couples, is primarily what we see, to purchase one of our homes through our build to rent program here in Northport. And that's the model there. Here's our Lakes 2 model. And we've got this going on up in Cape Coral as well. I'm just trying to show you guys exit strategies because many of you may be skeptical on, Sean, why in the world are you guys doing building lots? We've done probably close to 2,000 building lots in Northport alone. And then they've got their pre-qualification app that they fill out. We are looking for good credited borrowers. We have some, because I have a mortgage background, and there's some of the sites that we have in Northport, if you can see the map. Okay. And the list keeps going there. I love Tyrus. We call him Panama Jack. That's his nickname because he's got the Panama hats and so forth. But he's very eloquent. So guys, this would definitely be a lot that I would be very interested in owning the tax lien on and going after through the tax deed application process. The total roll-ups on this, based on what the original lien was, which I believe it was one of these here, the total roll-ups will probably be in the $1,000 to $1,300 range. After fees, we might be into this. I'm going to say right around the $1,600, $1,700 mark to get this lot. Now, if we were just flipping the lot out to the market in Northport, they go for in the good neighborhoods, which is probably about 90% of Northport. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's just walk up here to Northport real quick. Oops, sorry, way too far north. So areas of focus for us are in and around our model. We've purchased all over Northport, okay, except for out here. See this, you guys? So when you're looking in certain areas, this is basically kind of abandoned wasteland with no electric, no city service out here. So you'll see a lot of this inventory like this out on the over-the-counter, market, especially in Arizona and certain states. Land that's unusable, it's worth nothing, in my opinion. Okay, I'm looking to be right next to these folks who have newer homes that are built and get that lot right there. One of our big exit strategies too is if we get this lot, one of the first things that we like to do is notice the neighbors. So I'll try to talk to this guy, okay, and these are definitely some newer builds, or this guy if he wants to expand his lot for 10,000 bucks. Now that's kind of the going rate on lots in these areas is about 7,000 to 11,000 ish, 10.5. There's a new build there. You can see by the new driveways going in. But one thing that I do as far as exit strategies here as well, guys, just so you don't feel like you're wasting your time looking at a list like this, there's a million exit strategies to make income. One is to sell it to the neighbor, possibly build on it, which is obviously a bigger commitment with your capital and time. Okay. But another thing that we do is we will advertise to the neighbors, and or we'll put them on a payment plan. So if they put, usually I'll want to get as much down as I have into it. So if I've got $1,700 or $2,500 into the tax lien certificate roll up, okay, kind of like we talked about here in this example, if I've got a couple grand on a lot into the roll up fees, that's what I'm looking for in my down payment from whoever wants to do a seller finance deal on that lot. And I'll do maybe a 5-year finance on it, okay? And their payment might be 75 bucks a month, okay? At maybe a 6, 7, 8% interest. I'm not gonna get exorbitant with my interest rates because I don't wanna scare people off. Plus it's all gravy, meaning if I in the non-refundable down payment, okay, they're putting down, I've now been made whole on my original principal investment, and I can go turn that money around immediately and buy some more tax liens. But now I've just created a revenue stream every month on the profit. So there's a delta or margin. Let's say I was selling that lot to that guy for the low end of 8 grand in that market. Now I've got a delta of $6,000 of accounts payable to me that I'm making 8% interest on over the next 5 years. Well, $75 a month doesn't sound that great, you guys. And again, I'm not making a guarantee or promise of future income. I have to give you that disclaimer. Having a small stable of those coming in month after month after month, as the market does what it does, okay, that's an amazing residual cash flow that can be created from buying tax lien certificates, especially on building lots, not raw land that you have to develop out in the middle of nowhere, okay? So I hope that gives you some great ideas of how to work a list like this. And you can buzz through it real quick, trust me, okay? Just keeps going and going and going. All right, now let's go to the next one. So let's close this out, we'll close that out, and let's get over into a different county. This is Lee County, which comprises Lehigh Acres, Cape Coral, and Fort Myers primarily, one of the fastest growing areas in the country for jobs. You can look up Cape Coral jobs and then Forbes, and it's coming up on some of the top 10 lists as far as new job growth. And let's back this off a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Love Punta Gorda. That downtown area is amazing. This is Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and then Lehigh Acres. So when you're doing your research, you might start off in an area like this, even before you scrub this tax lien list. and go to Lee County Economic Development, for example, which I love this site. That's like their Chamber of Commerce, but it's sponsored by the county. Okay. So let's go take a look at some of the data you can pull off these sites. This is their version, the government's version of their Chamber of Commerce. So we've got our data center with an interactive map, for example. I'm going to go in, if I'm new to this area, and just start trying to figure out what's going on, okay? So this gives me a little lay of the land, all the fun amenities, so forth and so on. Get a quick idea. Community profiles. This is a great feature, okay? So Lehigh Acres, for example, remember, Lehigh Acres is a little bit further out here. These are the starter homes. If we drop anywhere in Lehigh Acres, you'll see it's not the bigger kind of semi-customs, like more so in Northport. Okay, well, you know, not this area. This is a little higher end area. Let me drop in. For the most part, Lehigh Acres is a little bit more of a starter home. If you were to live in Lehigh Acres and you're supporting the tourism or retirement type industry that's so huge in this area, this is usually where you live. It's kind of more of the working class area out here, but I love it for rentals. There's a lot of duplex opportunities out here as well, okay? And there's a brand new one being built, for example, okay? Few golf courses. I mean, there's golf courses everywhere in Florida. In Charlotte County alone, there's 16 golf courses, which is out here, up in here. So we bought a lot of land up in here. Just amazing, you guys. So again, do your research. You get kind of the lay of the land. Okay. Lehigh Acres gives you a nice little community profile so that when you are going and shopping on your list of tax liens, you get a good layout and feel for what the area and the boundaries are. You get kind of a description, graphic profile, okay, community profile. I look at retail, guys. I look at the health of the retail business in the area as well. Is it going up or going down? Okay. And general market profile. So a lot of these things, you guys, you can get off of local community economic development type sites and or Chamber of Commerce sites. I love it. Okay, so Cape Coral, same thing. Gateway Airport area, that's growing with commerce right now, quite a bit actually. Okay, so it's an area we look at for potential self-storage, and we're doing some things with self-storage as well right now, but you know, lots of different angles you guys can go out here. I won't beat that completely dead at that point. So let's come back to our list. How are we doing on time, guys? Okay, great, wonderful. And again, like I said yesterday, there's flexibility here. If I get consensus that everybody wants to do a 10-15 minute break, we will. So just let me know. So now we're in the Lee County area, and let's just start popping up a few of these, and let's go look. Okay, whoops, let's close that out. We're done with that. Let's go. I'm just going to open up a handful here. And I believe it was Dan asked me about, that's an interesting piece. Yeah, that's a mobile home I would be interested in. Okay. I'm not advocating doing a big portfolio of mobile homes, guys, by the way. Let's open up a few more, and we'll just buzz through these here. I'll get 5 or 6 open, you guys, off this front page. We'll get some of the higher end ones. We'll get some of the lower end ones. So when I see small numbers like this, I usually pass because it's probably an easement strip. When I see a traditional higher number like this, it's more than likely a home or something with improvement on it. When I see something in the $300 to $500 range, it's probably what we call a dry lot. And when I see something in kind of the $900, $700 to $1,000 range, it's probably a wet lot, meaning it's on a canal or on some sort of waterway, and those are higher value in these Florida areas. Okay, so we've opened up a handful here. I think there's maybe about 6 or 7. I can already tell you I'm not interested in that one. Lehigh Acres, good area, but I like to see houses more around the lot. It gives me more exit strategies. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this is an actual house. This would be one that I would start digging and doing more research on. I would run my comps, get a drive-by, all those steps that we've gone through together and some of the training from yesterday. This would be one that I would start originating the steps on to see what's going on with it. This is a great, great part of Cape Coral. And here's our subject property. Let's get a little better view for you there. Probably built in the late 90s, early 2000s, okay? And probably coming in about 170 to 190 in value in this area. I'd also be very interested in any of these building lots around here as well. Okay, standard Cape Coral neighborhood. So that's definite hit right there, guys, to bid on. Okay, and one thing that's nice on the county website, they've got all kinds of great resources that we love as an investor. They subscribe to Pictometry as well. And let's click the display parcel map. So now you're getting some more angled shots there to help you get another look. They got the tax map viewer. They've spent some money, you guys, on the resource. Now, not all counties do this, but now you can see your boundary lines, very critical that you see those boundary lines. Also, one of the things that they've added recently is your comparable sales. So remember I said maybe the 170, 180 range? You can now see comps on the Lee County site. I love this. I mean, you can go out to the traditional sources that we've talked about, but it's all in one here. And there's a sort feature that I really like. Now, some of these are old, so we got to remember, we want to look at ones that are within the last 6 months. So the county's just going to pull in all data. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for stuff that's sold more recently around here. You can sort it by price. Okay. Distance to subject, which is typically what I'll do, and then I'll go and look for my more recent comparable sales. Okay, guys? But remember, the county's going to pull in everything probably for the last 3 to 5 years, so you've just got to sort through it real quick. And actual year built, sale year 2010 to 2015, and right now that's about all they're giving us. Let's see, I've never used this particular sort. That's just taking me backwards, I think. Okay, we can change our view to get a really good view. What an amazing tool. Not very many counties pay for this. Cape Coral has been very healthy with their property taxes and new build growth, so they maybe had a little bit of extra money they can spend. So guys, in my opinion, what you also need to understand here is current working values as of July 2nd, 147 is their just or assessed value. What I can tell you of my knowledge of this area and what we've also seen from some comp data is that assessed value is low, okay, compared to fair market value. Now that's okay with me, and my honest opinion about property taxes is, yes, we need to pay into the system to keep a civilized society, but on all the properties that I hold, I wish my assessed value was 0. Now, before you think I've lost my mind, that has nothing to do with the utilitarian use of that property or how I can make money off of it or what its fair market value is out being sold. It just means I wouldn't have to pay any property taxes if the county assessor thought my property was worth 0. Okay, so lots of great data on here, sales and transactions. Much of what we pull in the core logic report, you can see yourself on county data right here. Okay, so you can see the history and all that stuff that's pulled in the core logic report, building permits, see if they've done maybe a recent remodel in this section, so forth and so on, appraisal details. Many counties are a little sparse here, okay, on appraisal details. This is one county where they give you the actual layout of the property, which is kind of nice. Okay. And then if you want to go look at the tax bills against this property to see an idea of what other tax years are owed, you can click that. I'll show you what I clicked. Sorry, guys. I went right up here and clicked tax bills. And that's going to link me out to the tax collector site where we can go in and look at actual certificates in the roll-up. So now, Troy, if this is you and you buy the cert that's up for sale here, then you kind of have an idea of what you might have to pay out in the roll-up. And we can come here, look at our details. Okay, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Okay, you can actually see here, see where it says certificate number? The status is open, meaning it has not been redeemed yet. Let's click right on that, and it tells you who owns it. This is a large fund, okay, run by a custodial account based out of New Orleans. This is big money coming in. That shouldn't intimidate you. And guys, look at what they bid it down to, 0.25%. That's crazy, right? Understand this. There's two reasons why a big fund like this, spending tens of millions of dollars potentially, would bid it down to 0.25%. They're making two plays. One is they want to go after the property eventually when they can, when their redemption period, that 2-year period, is expired. Now, I'm going to explain to you something else that's incredibly a great bonus for tax lien investors in the state of Florida. Let me keep going here. We're just going to do a live little example. Okay. They have in Florida what they call the Fast 5 bonus. Fast 5. I'll type it out. Fast 5 bonus. Okay. So within the first year, and it's kind of an escalating scale, but in the first 6 months, okay, you get a 5% premium or penalty that's paid to you if the homeowner redeems. So if you buy a lien at the primary auction, a brand new fresh lien at the primary on June 1st for $1,000, okay, and it redeems within a 6-month period, not only do you get your principal back, you get any accrued interest, but you also get a 5% bonus of the face value of the lien. What is that, $50 or whatever it is? But guys, that's why the hedge fund guys and the Wall Street guys do this, because they'll go deploy 10 million bucks. The bulk of these redeem within the first 6 months. Okay, let's say 60 to 70% of the portfolio, they're making 5% return. Now, what's that annualized return? Guys, again, annualized, that's 5 times 12. I mean, they are raking it in with just this bonus alone. That's why they're willing to bid the rate down to 0.25%, because they don't care about the interest. They care about the Fast 5 bonus in the state of Florida. Okay, so for example, in Palm Beach County, we ended up with, at the primaries, the last primary that we did in Palm Beach, which is on the other side, we targeted high-end custom homes over over about the $350,000 mark, up to about $2 million. Knowing that as soon as a lot of those folks got their notices, they pay us off. But we had some liens that were up in the $30, $50, even $90,000 range for one single house. Now, that's high risk, but we did it within the portfolio. So if you were to say, Sean, should I buy a $90,000 lien on one property? I would say, no. Take that same money and diversify your risk and buy a whole bunch of liens. Okay. But we did very, very well. By the end of the year, from June 1st till the end of the year, I believe roughly about half of that portfolio from Palm Beach had already redeemed. And we Fast 5 most of that. Okay. So the Fast 5 bonus, that is why you see a fund that will bid that rate from 18% all the way down to 0.25%. That's the play for the Wall Street guys. Okay. Could it be a play for you? Absolutely. But the downside is what if they don't redeem within the first 2 years and you don't get any portion of that Fast 5? Well, you may not want to bid your whole portfolio down to 0.25%. Okay, that's the risk or the downside. Okay. Okay, just checking any questions in the chat box. I think we're good. So this, guys, is a hit. I'm excited. Guys, this is viable inventory. Now, here's a couple things that you may not know about Florida when they did the buildup that you're going to have to check out on the property. Chinese drywall, okay? Chinese drywall. Google it. They had a batch during the big ramp up from 2000 to 2007. In certain states, Florida was one of them, Texas, Arizona, all the major, ramp up states, Vegas. Chinese drywall refers to an environmental health issue involving defective drywall manufactured in China and imported to the United States starting in 2001. So some of these scumbag developers, I'm just going to say it like I see it, got Chinese drywall on the cheap, and it's dangerous, and the house basically all the drywall has to be torn out and treated. And the problem is that the house gets stigmatized. So even though you go and gut the house, the neighbors know about it, and new property owners are going to know about it, and it just run away from a Chinese drywall situation. And that's one thing you have to check out in houses. Before you run it to TDA and spend all that money, if there's somebody living in there, you're probably okay. But with Chinese drywall, it's not like mold. Chinese drywall, I mean, when mold first starts, you can still occupy the house unless it's just really, really bad, like after New Orleans or something like that. And we saw those pictures of the mold growing up the whole way on the wall. That's obviously uninhabitable. Every house has a certain amount of mold in it already. Your house does right now. But with Chinese drywall, you know it when you're in a Chinese drywall house. It smells kind of sulfuric, and it'll make you sick really fast. It stinks, and especially if there's been no air conditioning for just a short period of time, it takes over the house really quick. Am I saying this house has Chinese drywall? No, I'm just saying that's in this particular area, it's a concern. And we're going to go through hidden time bombs. Here is a little bonus module in properties to watch out for. But because I'm versed with the local things here, I've seen Chinese drywall in Cape Coral. I would say this, for the most part, they've cleaned almost all that out, but you still could run into it from time to time. Okay, that's my Chinese drywall speech. And as we keep going here, let's take a look at a couple more on these live deals. Let's see what we got a hold of here. Staro. I haven't purchased land out here, so I'm kind of shopping for myself today too, guys. Man, that is an amazing piece. That's something I would definitely bid on and go after. Absolutely. That's awesome. I would live in this neighborhood. Yeah. Gosh, that's fun, you guys. I love real estate. Here's a new subdivision going in right here. Very small private community. Couple houses in there with a gated community. That's kind of cool. Take a piece of land like that and make it into that. Now that's a big project. Looks like we have some sort of country club scenario going on over here. Now this is a horse facility. That probably polo grounds. Again, Florida, Marion County up in Ocala is the #1 breeding area in the whole world. So they're big in Arabians, and a lot of international people buy up in Ocala. We own land up there as well. I've driven it. So big $400 or $500 estates up there, but you'll see a lot of it in Florida with these big horse estates, polo grounds, and so forth as well. Very country club setting here, it looks like. So what a great area. Okay, moving on. Let's go to our next piece. So that's a definite hit right there. No, I mean, look, guys, this is rural, and it's just, if you're really stretching to get inventory, you might do something like this. This is dated from 2011. but it's the resale factor that's tough, and mobile homes aren't as good to rent as a standard condo, townhome, or single family residential house. Okay, yeah, now we're hitting the sweet spot for me personally, guys. This is right up my alley. I love wet lots in Cape Coral. Love them, love them, love them. Okay, so our subject properties right here. These are in very high demand right now. And this one I'm going to take you through just a little bit more in-depth research. So let's go. I think it was Dan asked me yesterday about Metro Study. Sean, do we have access to it? Can we see it? All I did was show you the blog yesterday, the free public blog with all the market updates, which again is great. But let's take this a step further and let's get behind the scenes in Metro Study. Let me get my address pulled over. And let's get my login going here. Okay. And let's do some real in-depth look at this land. Okay. So there's a couple different tools that I can use within the Metro Study group of tools here. Property analysis is great, and the insight, let's just start there. So the Metro Study Insight tool is meant for iPads when you're out in the field, okay? And so when we're doing our drive-bys, we have this particular software tool called Insight open, and it will follow us around. So it will track our location, and so we can see real-time comparable sales and information about the market as we're out on the street. It's just a great investor tool. The primary users of this tool are developers, large kind of retail outlets looking for places to relocate their businesses, like a McDonald's land buyer might use a tool like Insight when he's out shopping for new McDonald's sites. Land developers and investors at our level might use this. Again, remember, just to have one county might be $300, $400, $500 for the whole quarter if you're investing heavily in that area. This could be a tool that you use eventually when you feel like you're ready to spend a little extra money on more upgraded data. Okay, let's go get our address. And let's put this address into Insight. And remember, let's go back. This lien was, I believe, around the 3. No, not interested in that piece. We can close that. Not interested in that piece. And we're back to this piece. This particular lien, I believe, was around $800. We can go look at the tax bill here, if it's the same one I'm thinking of. Okay. Yeah, I want to say it was one of these here, guys. So it looks like you've got, very much like our example we showed earlier, roughly around $4,000, take on some extra for fees. So it looks like if you were to get a hold of this lien and do the roll up, you'll be maybe $4,500-ish to $4,700 into the lien when all's said and done. Let's go see if that's worth it. Meaning you're going to spend your hard-earned money. You'll probably get redeemed on something like this because these sell fairly frequently at the tax deed auction, okay? Because we buy them at the auction as well. But let's see if the value is there. If you actually got a hold of this lot and you owned it, could you make a profit on it? Okay, and that's what we're going to answer here by doing a little bit more research. So we put in, and let me change up our view here, guys. Let's go to aerial so you can see where you're at. Okay, so here's our subject property, and we grid patterned this back in March. We started up at the Burnt Store Marina and came down what's called Burnt Store Road. So we went up here. We've owned a lot of land up in here. We were just seeing how the new builds were going. We came down here on Burnt Store Marina, which they're expanding this. Cape Coral City is putting in what's called their 7 Islands project, the actual city. And let's see, where is it? It's off here. And they're expanding one of the cut-through roads, I know. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Okay, I think it's 7 islands, right? So they're building, Cape Coral City actually owns these now, and they're building 55 and older high-rise condos here. It's going to be, and they've already started or about to start breaking ground, but they're going to expand these roadways, and they just finished this major, it's about $100 million road project that just got done when we were in town. I think it was last summer, the summer before last, but this major cut through right there. Let's do hybrid. Yeah, Pine Island. It was about $100 million project, and they just expanded this roadway, and it took them about 7 years to do it. And we were in town when they had the final kind of ribbon cutting, and it was all over the news when that was done. So we're up here, okay, and there's our subject property. Now, I want to get a beat on the market, so with my highlighter or selection tool, okay, I can go look at just this specific area, okay, and just start getting a beat on value. In fact, you know what? I'm going to redo this here in just a second. I'll show you why. Now, what MetroStudy has just done is pulled in all the sold comparables. Now, this goes back many years, okay? So every green dot represents a property or a lot that has sold. See that? It's a very, very, very active market, you guys, okay? Now, I just want to look at in comparison to our subject property, wet lots. All right, so here's our subject. Now, this one's a bit bigger than ours, but these are viable comps. Okay, that's not a bad price. I'm not saying they're all going to be that good. I've seen prices vary. 58.5, 50,000. That's from February. 45. Somebody got a good deal on that. That's more of what I see, honestly, in pricings on these. I think if you're paying over 40, you're paying top retail, but it's against my religion to pay retail for for real estate. Okay. So these are probably the flip transaction, the flip side of it, not the wholesale price. And guys, brand new house is being built. What a gorgeous, and you can tell by the roof line, the age of the house. You get to know roof lines very well, by the way. Okay, so we're getting amazing data within 30 seconds here, guys. That's a little older transaction. It's more recent. So guys, I've looked at maybe 10 comps in here, and now you've got a good idea. Would it be a viable opportunity to go after this building lot? And I think it's super important to understand, and if you get through the land banking training, you'll get all of this training in great depth off the simple real estate site. Okay, I would recommend if you get a free couple hours to get through that land banking training. If you can listen to my voice anymore, that is. You can also do a sort here, guys, by most recent transaction. So this gets really fun here. Now we can see the stuff that has more recently sold. And it's a very, very viable market. Now these are wet lots. Dry lots are going to have a different price to them. Okay. You can start to get a feel for, and that's a great deal. Okay. I don't know who's, now that's probably a builder lot. Do you see that, guys? This one's 230,000, so that's probably a builder that's already started a build job on it. There's no way that lot's worth 230,000. You're seeing some bulk transaction prices. So in every area with land, guys, when you're analyzing land, just to keep in this example, you're going to see a wholesale bulk transaction price. And we've done that. So there's a company, one of the original developers of Cape Coral is called the Deltona Corporation, Deltona. And Deltona, actually, the owner is from the Netherlands. He's a multi-billionaire. And if we come over here, you might see some of his work on Deltona stuff. Let's see, where was some of his last stuff? I think up in here. And if we do some selections, we'll probably pop some Deltona stuff. but it's a multi-billion-dollar fund. And we made a purchase from Deltona about a year and a half ago for $8 million. And we bought 1,072 Cape Coral lots, all up here in the north section. Okay. So Adams Homes is huge up here. That's a big builder like D.R. Horton. They're one of the largest in Florida, for example. And then here you see Deltona selling their stuff. So we see comp number 3 is a Deltona purchase for a sale for $15,000. So they're still selling off their inventory as well. I guess you could say they're a direct competitor of ours, but that's okay. There's plenty enough buyers to go around. So again, here's our original tax lien that we're looking at purchasing. We've kind of got an idea. Now, let me do this, guys. Let's say you want to buy it. Let's go through the mechanics of that. Now, if you want to buy this lien, you have to go back and register, okay? So you're going to go back to the county site. Let's see, I believe up in PowerPoint I had a link for us. Let's see, let's just pull this in. And bear with me, guys, as I try to grab this link. I think this was the link. Let's pull that aside. Yes. Okay. So when we were on a couple sites like this before we really got in and digging and showing you how to actually make a transaction and seeing the real inventory. But here's where you're going to want to go register. Okay. And the FAQ page, that's what I was showing you. Okay. I just copied and pasted it into our presentation to do a quickie, but they've got customer service. And if you want to go register for this sale, you come right here, enter in either you've got a business EIN or social security number, and literally it takes under 5 minutes to get registered. Once you've got a bidder number, I would recommend that you start a little spreadsheet in a secure area on your computer or some outside service like a Dropbox or password protected software. And that's meant for storing, passwords, okay? This will be sensitive information for you, your bidder numbers and logins. So we have ours protected. And once you have your bidder number, you come back to the bidding page like we were on. Let's see if I can get back there. And once you're logged in, right now I'm not logged in. This is just all public view. Once you're logged in, you'll have that buy now option. And guys, it's an instantaneous deal. I mean, you're buying live as we go, okay? So let's see how we're doing, guys. Okay, looking for any new questions. And I think we're good there. Okay, so we've got 12 people online. And guys, this has been a blast. I wish we could actually speak to each other with this technology. It'd be fun to open it up for a Q&A and commentary section. But let's see about our time here. Let's go about, if it's okay, everybody, let's go about another 20 minutes unless anybody speaks up and wants to break now. Will we have access to these 2 days of recording? I don't know. We'll have to ask the guys that set up in our office the webinars, Troy. The good news is about 60 to 70% of what I've gone through here is all in the training section. And let's go back to simple real estate. It's all here. Now, obviously, when you go in here to training down to videos, if you can put up with me again, all the videos are here, okay? And I broke them up into smaller segments. Most of them are under 10 minutes, so you can do it at your time. And then let's go back to training here. Land banking. Guys, again, I'm not saying you have to invest in tax liens and land, But I would say don't ignore it either. Learn enough about it before you decide you don't want to do land. And it's only in certain areas of the country do I recommend this. Very few areas in the country where they're actually seeing building growth. Let me show you what I mean by that. Okay. So we come back here to Cape Coral, and remember, all these markets that we're dealing with are seasonal, whether it's the baseball spring training season in this area. They have huge tarpon fishing tournaments out here. Okay, and Punta Gorda is up here a world-class destination for their tarpon fishing tournaments. Golf, there's several PGA and LPGA courses that are on the circuit up in here. So, and then a town like, say, Punta Gorda in the downtown, they host over, I sound like a commercial for Florida, sorry guys. They host roughly about 143,000 people annually on different business and senior conferences that they host here in the downtown area. And it's really senior friendly. I love it. One of my favorite places to eat in the whole world is down here overlooking the harbor. It's called Lashley's. And it's a restaurant right here where you sit on the deck and overlook the harbor. And it's just amazing on sunset. You're getting the whole tourist view for me, you guys. So maybe that's a good point to make, is that you don't have to just invest in anywhere just for the numbers. Now, some of you will, some of you won't, but I love the areas that I invest in because I've spent a lot of time there. I love these areas. The people, getting to know the people. We've probably done over 20 boots on the ground trips here in just this area that you see, and also up here in Central Florida where the highest concentrations of the seniors are at, up in this central area right up in here, okay? And so the two highest concentrations of seniors in the state are in the central area here around the Villages, which is the largest retirement area in the world. And then down here in Southwest Florida, and there's some pockets over here, but this is high price stuff. Okay, for value, I think I get a much better value on my tax lien certificates and our land and our build to rent products. Okay, so let's look at some actual statistics then. So if we look over here on the right side, I've got these different reports, market reports that I can pull on these various counties, as you can see here. So if we go in and look at, say, Sarasota County, and I'm pulling up a live report, I get historical housing activity, what's been going on with how many lots are being delivered into the market. Okay, very healthy numbers. So you can see the market went way down, and you can see the trend of it going back up. So very active market for building lots. Okay, housing summary by type, how many starts, okay. Price range analysis, so when I'm targeting particular areas, I can see where the sweet spots are as far as price range, and that's what I'm gonna target for my tax lien investing, okay, as far as the highest volume of actual sales on houses. And so when I'm out tax lien investing or buying, land, for example, I might focus in on kind of this sweet spot right in here from $200,000 to $300,000 areas. Okay. Some great analysis that we get, lot size analysis. Okay. Who the big builders are. Okay. So you can see all the local guys. We've actually sold lots to Lennar and LGI. They're not as prevalent in this area, and we've worked some deals with DR Horton as well. And here's your subdivision absorption rankings, meaning where the hot subdivisions are. Now, guys, these subdivisions, you can see Venetian Golf and River Club. I don't buy within them, okay? It's too expensive. I don't want to hold a piece of land where I have a monthly association fee of $300 to access the marina and the golf course. That's way too expensive in land banking in that model. Okay, I would buy tax lien certificates in there, but it's only on an interest play, with the caveat that you have a much higher percentage of redemptions in these high-end planned communities that are usually gated. So the bulk of these are more than likely gated and more than likely very high-end properties. So you can see the price ranges here. Okay, this is a per square foot price range. So or in the thousands, sorry. So these are more high-end areas. Now, and you can see where the hot spots are. Right now it's the West Villages, Palmer Ranch, Sarasota National. What I target, guys, is I will look up the West Villages, for example, and I'll try to buy stuff around it. Let me give you a really good case in point. The Villages. Remember, we were just talking about the Villages. #1 retirement community in the world, and they're full. We just drove it last fall. So here's what the Villages is. It's like its own community or town. It's insane. I love it. And maybe some of you have heard of this, but it's got 21 golf courses. Okay, several of those are classified as country clubs as well. And it's got different sections. I think it's been around since maybe the 80s or late 70s. And they just finished all of this. So this is old satellite imagery. We drove right down this road right here, and we're thinking, okay, we want to see what the absorption rate is in here, because we were buying land around the Villages, because when something fills up, growth tends to expand. Okay, when the supply gets all taken up, retirees are coming here at a faster rate than they ever have to Florida, because baby boomers are hitting the peak right now as far as retirement age. And when we drove it, it's all full. And if you go to the Villages website, they say their last development is done. So what we have been targeting for the last year and a half is within about a half hour, 45-minute radius around the Villages. We drove some of the farmland over here for potential development. That's probably too big of a project for us, we decided, especially out of state. Okay, but we have been focusing in especially on the Marion Oaks area. So that's an existing retirement type area with some golf courses. So we've purchased maybe 80 to 100, about 80 to 100 building lots in this area now. And we have a tax lien portfolio as well up in here. Okay. And then I really love Sugar Mill Woods area, which is this area right here. And then you get up into Ocala. Now, Ocala is some developers are really in the city are really working with the owners of the Villages to say, hey, come north. We're ready for you. Expand your next development up here. And there's been some people down to the south, the cities and so forth, that are saying, hey, we'll give you some good tax breaks if you start expanding down this way. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes. I don't like Citrus Springs. That's kind of a beat up area. But I love Ocala and I love Citrus Springs over just a little bit over here. Okay, right down here. Citrus Springs, we have a lot of land over here. This is phenomenal. It's just basically subdivisions, retirement subdivisions with a couple golf courses. And we've driven both of these courses. Okay, but we're looking for growth and expansion. And when you know what's kind of going on in the local economy and so forth, that can really, really, really help you in your investment decisions. So Ocala, again, horse capital of the world. That's what I was talking about. It's very stunning when you go up there, and you wouldn't know that there's all these high-end, from the aerials, you would not know that it looks like this when you go there. It's just amazing. And what we target up in this particular area, just to give you a few other tips, is we're trying to buy in and around the horse ranches, so that if somebody wants to retire or build a family home, they're just off of all this beauty and scenery, and they can participate in that culture and lifestyle in a house like this. Well, this is a little old, but I think you get the drift. Okay, so that's just kind of advanced technique that you could use when you're selecting what tax lien certificates to purchase. And I will tell you this, YouTube, believe it or not, my kids watch YouTube. I've only got one left in the house now, almost an empty nester. But YouTube is a phenomenal tool to learn about areas also. So what I did for my own personal research, and it's been very handy to to use over time, but I compiled a list of videos of the areas that we're heavily investing in because especially drone flyovers, just local guys doing drone flyovers, for example. So Cape Coral community reviews, drone flyovers. I'm not going to spend a lot of time watching videos. I'm just going to give you a sample here, guys. Okay. And this is just a guy that is out flying a drone, and all of a sudden, rather than just looking at stark aerials, I now am engrossed in the community and I can really get a feel for it. Okay. I feel like even though, maybe you can't go visit some of these communities, now that I see some of this type of footage, I'm like, okay, that's better. This guy just cut this video a month ago or whatever it was, and I think it was a little older, but now I can get a real-time sense of what these communities are like. All right. And some of the videos are horrible. Some are really good. Driving around Northport. All right. Now you got to be careful with some of these videos because of language. Now, Northport, remember I told you we were doing the build to rent? Okay. This is a street, a typical street in Northport with newer build homes. Windermere is a very active builder up there. And you can see what type of homes you get up in Northport. You can also see available inventory to go after. And this is just some guy in his car. Now it's an older video, but I've been in Northport dozens of times, and this is a pretty good depiction of Northport. Okay, so YouTube is great, and there's all kinds of great community reviews that are done by the actual city themselves, community profiles, where you can really quickly get to know an area. Inside Business, this is Fred Thompson that made a series of videos for local cities, and he's got a service where he does the community profiles that are just great. Okay. All right, let's get out of there. So what they do is they profile all the amenities, lifestyle, what's going on with business, investment in the area. They show you about the education, and many of the cities or economic councils sponsor YouTube channels, and you can really get a good bead on the community, investment strategies. And by the time you get done watching a handful of videos on a community, you're going to know if it's someplace that you can fall in love with and have a passion about as well. Okay, so that's YouTube. All right, guys, we'll go just a few more minutes, and let's get back to Metro Study briefly. And I wanted to go over just a little bit more in data analysis about the areas and what some of these different reports represent. So I'm just pulling up Charlotte County, for example, here. Employment rates, remember how we talked about job health is such a good indicator of where the market's going, okay? And it is seasonal, okay? So you can see it bounces around like that. We see the annual building permit activity. That's it. See, if it has little ups and downs, that doesn't worry me, you guys. Okay, even if this most current one was down a little bit, that doesn't worry me. Here's what I'm looking for. I want to start on this side of any given graph and make sure it's going in this direction. During the downturn, everything was going that direction. Now, there's opportunity to buy for investors, but then we look at annual permit activity, okay, for single family, 39.4% year-over-year growth. Now, here's a big tip for you. Multifamily, duplexes, 55 and older type little communities, off the charts. There's only been 14, but that represents a lot of dollars, okay? So I can keep kind of looking here, house price index trend. You can see the low. You can see what direction it's coming back at, okay? Demographic trends. A lot of this data, well, let's just get the full report opened up. Bear with me just a second here, guys. Let's go to the PDF version so I can scroll easier. Affordability index, as prices rise, less people can afford to buy houses, but that's the nature of the marketplace. Okay, that doesn't really worry me. Okay, because of this. If my employment factors are solid, typically that means there's wage growth and more jobs. Therefore, people can afford houses. Okay, and that's why when you saw our models that we're building, okay, we're not targeting building massive custom homes here, guys. Okay, and what you might go after a tax lien certificate on a property just like this, but it might be 5, 6, 10 years old. They just got into financial trouble and couldn't pay their taxes. But this is a great target of a 3-bedroom house, okay, that any family could live in. Okay, that's what you're targeting in an area like this. You can go after the big mansions, but you're just increasing risk factors. So that's a personal decision. Okay. So we'll get down here, population by age. They've got, based on census numbers and projections, estimated population growth patterns. Okay. Net migration, so they're tracking migration by out migration and in migration and what the net would be. Okay, that's important to look at. County rankings, and then a bunch of disclaimers. I think it's important to know where this data is coming from. So employment and growth, Bureau of Labor and Statistics, that's the same site that we were on, okay? Unemployment rates, census, okay? Housing price index, that's another government data site that they're pulling in data. Mortgage rates, they're getting that from Freddie Mac. Housing affordability indices, okay? Again, pulling in several different sources for that. Now, Moody's economy.com, big think tank. Excuse me, guys. Get some water. So that's the sourcing of the data that you see, along with their proprietary data. Now, a company like Metro Study, their primary market is developers. What do developers want? They want to know where the new growth is going. I mean, look, as a real estate investor, wouldn't you just love to have a crystal ball and know where the new growth is coming? I would. I mean, I'd be a multi-billionaire if I could forecast in the future. But, as much as possible, we try to look at data and gather data to know where the new growth is coming in the future. That's why we watch jobs and we watch new home starts. Jobs, new home starts. I don't care what type of real estate investing strategy that you're targeting. Those two indicators and then rent rates along with that are what we kind of base a lot of our decisions on where we're going into. Now, you can get into retail numbers, a lot of those other things that we talk about, but if you only have time to look at a few indicators, jobs and new home starts, okay? And that's what a lot of this data can provide. Now, also with Metro Study, because their primary market is selling data to developers, they actually send drivers out every month, and they compile this data on the new home starts. So what they look for is they'll classify a new home start as a vacant developed lot, or VDL. They'll classify it if the foundation's in, okay? If the foundation's not poured or the slab on grade is not poured, then they won't count it in their statistic. But that's why we paid for the upgraded data, is to get that proprietary drive-by data from Metro Studies drivers in the markets that they're in. And they're, all over the United States. Okay. So let's go take a look at some other various counties here, just to get a beat on things. Okay. So this is Citrus County, one of those areas, Citrus Springs, where I was telling you was in Central Florida, just outside of the villages and that expansion. They're a little higher in unemployment, but nationally that's a good comparison. Okay, and their building annual permit activity is good. There's not a lot of multifamily going on up there. Okay, and so I'm seeing some pretty good numbers here overall. Okay, so again, if there's if there's certain areas that we're already in and that we're paying for the data that you guys would like to see these updated reports in, we're happy to provide them for you. Okay, and that's not a problem. All right, guys, let's do this. So, in answer, hopefully, to Troy's inquiry yesterday, which was really the whole point of this 2-day session, which was, hey, I'm ready to go. Show me how to actually buy a real live tax lien, where to find them, how to research the markets, more specifically, how to tell if I'm getting a good deal on the underlying real estate. Remember, a tax lien is always collateralized with real estate. That's your security. How do I look at that property to make sure I'm not going to lose a bunch of money here by buying a tax lien on a worthless property? Okay. So hopefully I've answered that, and we're going to keep going. Answered that question for you, Troy. Okay, let's look at our questions. Yes. All right. And we're going to keep going. I'm going to try to over answer your question and provide bonus material for everybody on the training today. Okay. And let's see here, guys. Let's minimize this. Minimize this. And there's the Idaho deals and our videos. And let's get back to where we started, you guys. There's still some more material I'd like to cover in our main training here, but we have been going for 3 hours straight. I'm going to go drink some water, and I highly recommend Cliff Bars if you need a quick boost of energy. So guys, let's reconvene in about 15 minutes, and I'm going to wrap up some due diligence items here. I'm going to go through next a previous slideshow I had done. It's a little dated, but I go through pretty extensive case study. So I show you the tax lien that was bought. I show you the negotiations with the homeowner, the properties, all the numbers with pictures, with showing the actual checks. And some of these are a little dated, but I've been doing this for a long time. So I keep pictures and I keep data and case study examples. And so I've got maybe about 7 to 10 actual case studies of real deals that have happened to go over with you guys next. And then we're going to do some bonus modules. Okay, some small 5-10 minute bonus modules, and we'll hit some really good stuff coming when you come back. Okay. So let's break, and I'll see you guys back here at about 1/4 after the hour.